I'm Ruben Nepales of Rappler. Thank you very much for joining us
Hey Ruben,
today.
nice
Hello.
to meet you,
Hello.
Ruben.
For the benefit of my readers, what exactly does a
Thank you
3D
so much.
modeler do in a movie like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? You did our 3D modeling for the Guggenheim Museum, for example. In layman terms or simpler terms, what exactly did that involve?
I think as a 3D modeling artist, we are the one who's responsible in creating 3D models to be used in other departments such as texturing, rigging, animation, and we create the starting look of the environment like props or characters and pretty much building the set and creating the characters, but in 3D. And I think the easiest way to explain it is like AutoCAD in architecture, but for movies.
Thank you. Your favorite scene in the film involves the bike entrance because you modeled Jessica Drew's motorcycle.
Right.
Describe the work you did to model the bike. How long did that take?
I mean, there's a lot that I really like about the movie, but what stands out to me specifically was that scene because I think it was really epic, like the epic entrance of a new character in the film. And I think the bike took me a while to finish as because the director wanted to have that scene like the way how they wanted like to do make a lot of revisions and concept because they wanted to look different, not like just like a bike you see in like the city or something like that, but more unique side. And I think I started working on the bike May till July 2021. And I did most of the work of it, but another artist finished it out because I was working on a different show. So pretty much like a collab work. And speaking of the scene, actually, the environment of that shot happened was based on a real Guggenheim Museum in New York. And I'm telling you, that scene is really epic. Like you will see how like the team really did a great job on synchronizing all the looks from different like worlds coming in and out. And then there's also a lot of like destruction and this and that. And I would say like it's really nice and epic, I would say. And also shout out to Leon Enriquez. He's also a Filipino artist that I worked with who modeled one of the most complicated and intricate characters in the movie. Like his name is Vulture. So I'd pretty much like take a, watch at it.
How did you land the work on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
I think it's basically like it was it was quite surprising to me because I really didn't it was kind of like how would you explain it? I really didn't expect it to happen because I was just a student. I went to VFS, Vancouver Film School, and it was just I went to school, and after that, I did a break a little bit, went back to Calgary with my family, and then just worked there as a customer service. And then after that, I applied for Sony, and then for 4 years, I've been working for Sony, and they gave me a lot of projects until I got this really cool project called Spider-Verse into Multiverse.
As an artist, can you comment on the groundbreaking visual appeal of the Spider-Verse movies, in which there is intentionally more emphasis on the design and style rather than realism?
Yeah, so I think the team really did a great job, like on creating the most unique look in an animated movie. And I haven't seen anything like this before. And I remember in our meetings or rounds, we call them rounds, every day different departments, show their ideas, how they are going to tackle like a certain shot in a tactical standpoint. And it wasn't easy as a 3D modeler because it's not just 3D modeling one style. Instead, we were like modeling like different styles from different world. And then, we have to keep in mind that it's always different in tackling a different show, different type of style in a world. Because if not, it's just basically it's gonna be like hectic because it's really all over the place. So we were trying to like be mindful of how we're gonna tackle which technique should we be doing, and it's not really like a straightforward. So yeah, I think it's really groundbreaking in an aspect of like how we um execute our skills as an artist.
And following up on that, without giving away spoilers, why do you think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse will be another visual treat for moviegoers?
I'd see like 100% story-wise, it's really for all audiences, and I would really recommend to watch it specifically in theaters, like in a big screen. It's not your typical story. There's like a lot of twists and turns, and you will be surprised what the team has prepared for you guys to watch.
Also, as an artist, but more as a moviegoer, can you recount your reaction when you first saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the very first one?
Oh, to be honest, like like I've I haven't really heard about like the first show. I did heard it when I went to work with Spider because when I went to Sony, that was the first time I ever heard of the show. And then after that, like, oh, this is really cool because I I didn't expect it to be like a new style, which is like there's like inclines and those like technical stuff and this and that because my colleagues at that time they were saying like, oh, you should watch Spider-Man because it's like a really new treat for you guys. It's not just like your typical animated movie, but it's just like a new way of like showing the audiences as well.
What was your first memory of your first encounter watching or reading about Spider-Man or seeing a comic book maybe when you were a kid? Were you fond of reading comics when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, yes, I'd say because it was back in the day because my dad is a salesman and then he has to go to a different farther places and then every time he goes back home he rents a CD on from a video city. It's like a renting place, like a Blockbuster in US. So he rents out this Spider-Man movie. I remember it was like the Punisher versus Spider-Man animated movie, and they were like fighting and stuff. So I was really like introduced into comics as well as like animated as well.
Who are the animation artists and illustrators including Filipinos, who
Mhm.
inspired and influenced you and why?
I think the it was my brother and my dad actually at first when I was a kid because my brother had this notebooks full of like drawings from robots and my dad used to draw my assignments when I was a kid like hey dad can you make my drawing assignments for my school and this and that and then just like okay so cool and then after that growing up I just became like into it like I just kept on drawing and there's one Filipino artist that I was inspired or like I'm doing like 3D models, Leon Enriquez actually. And I was also blessed that I was able to work with him because he's a really nice guy and I think he's one of the pioneers in Philippines on like creating I think the first animated movie I forgot what it's called. And then also like artists like Kim Jung-gi and Terada Katsuya, Marco Plouffe, and Andrew Nash. Those and a lot more artists actually, but those are most people that I've somewhat like um followed.
Can you talk about your other film credits?
Ooh, there's a lot actually to say, but I think most of my work is from Sony, and I've worked on Over the Moon from Netflix. I've worked on Vivo, Mitchell's versus the Machine. I've worked on also not just in animated as well as in VFX, like Ant-Man and a the recently showed Guardians of the Galaxy, and pretty much that's most of my credited work, I'd say.
And what are your next projects?
Ooh, I'm not really allowed to say anything about it, but currently, we're working on, yes, an animated movie, and I think you guys would also love it because it's also a different style that we're trying to create, and probably it's just around the corner, and you're gonna watch it soon. You're gonna see it soon.
You grew up in Cebu and you studied at University of San Carlos. Please share your memories of growing up there, especially as a kid with artistic inclinations even then.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, I was born in Davao and grew up in Cebu, and I'd say it was pretty chill living there, and we have our own compound of family, where we on paternal side actually, and we play music we shoot movies actually and like short clips like short movies back in the day like doing shooting muzzle flashes and stuff and when I went to college that's where like it really made me interested in doing some visual effects stuff, like After Effects, 3ds Max back in the day, ZBrush, those kind of stuff. And yeah, and also I do like edit some, I think some debut from the birthdays and weddings. So I was really into it when I was in college as well.
Have you been back to Cebu and the Philippines? And what do you enjoy most about visiting the Philippines?
And no, I haven't up until now. Like last 2015 was the last time I saw Cebu, and I should probably go visit if I have a chance. But I'll probably visit like the food first and foremost. After that, beaches, and pretty much I'm just curious what it looks like right now. But yeah, I haven't really visited yet.
10 years from now, how do you see yourself in your career?
Hopefully I'll be able to learn and understand more about my industry, because right now I'm not working as a 3D modeling artist, but instead also like a CFX. But in my free time I do like 3D modeling, like post my stuff, and also actually I'm doing like a 3D printing in my free time as well. So hopefully, yeah, would be able to learn more about character effects. This is like a different world than 3D modeling, and also be able to show what I can, like my art as well, to social media or art websites like ArtStation.
Can you elaborate on how and why in high school, and if you can name that high school, when your brother showed you the muzzle flash effect, and from there it all started to grow, especially when you saw the movie Transformers and Iron Man?
Oh yeah, yeah. So back in the day, we have a computer. Like it's not the best, but it does the job. And he has this project for school where somebody shoots someone, but they wanted to look a little bit like cool and realistic, so and dramatic as well. So they added like a muzzle flash effect, frame by frame, using I think it was Movie Maker. And then after that, like YouTube was booming as well on tutorials, visual effects. And I was 11 years old at that time, where I think Transformers came out. And it was the movie that really pushed me on doing VFX, VFX work, like learning After Effects, Sony Vegas Pro. And I was making this Rasengan effect from Naruto. And later on, I think later after that year, Iron Man came out. That's where really it really like I want to do VFX. I want to do modeling. I want to do this and that. So I think that's how it really pushed me on to creating this kind of like how creating this kind of artwork, show people that I can do it.
And for my last question, what are the other aspects of animation that you would like to explore?
Yeah, as I said, I would really love to explore more on CFX, character effects. It was just because I was fascinated on how it's basically CFX. For you guys don't know about it, it's basically simulating cloth and hair using like the computer, and we just like do a shot work where like it has to look good, it has to look like a hair, it has to look like how it should be in a frame. And pretty much I wanted to explore that just because of how interesting it is in terms of like like different different way of how you approach things in artwork as well, I'd say.
Sarah, thank you very much on behalf of my Rappler readers, and I hope to interview you again in your next projects.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Ruben.